Okay, welcome to Lecture 5, Technical Tasks. I've updated the title of this one slightly as we've already covered prompt engineering and wanted to add some more detail around documentation, because I know technical documentation is a big part of software development and engineering. And for this particular lecture, I'm actually going to go through some examples regarding Excel formulas and basic coding, as I think they're really powerful use cases of ChatGPT, and maybe something that a lot of you don't know is possible with ChatGPT. So explaining technical concepts, I think, is a good starting point, particularly for people who are wanting to use this as a tool to learn and understand things that are not familiar to them. So as a starting point, I'm not going to add anything to this prompt. We're going to ask it how a neural network works, and elaborating and specifying that the explanation needs to be clear and concise. So one fun thing that I've seen a lot of people do, which is a nice follow-up to help simplify any explanations even further, is asking ChatGPT to explain it to a 5-year-old. Obviously, this is quite a lengthy explanation. Explain this as I'm 5, under 100 words. So it might help to reduce the explainer first so you understand conceptually at a high level how it works, and then dive deeper into the concepts. If you were to ask a domain expert in this space, it's their job to communicate that in a way that someone who isn't familiar or who isn't technical in this field, they're going to understand how that explanation translates based on what they would know of kind of basic terminology within that field. So this explanation here, a neural network is like a computer brain that can learn from examples. It's made of layers of small parts called neurons that work together to understand and make decisions about things, like recognizing pictures or understanding language. It gets better at its task by being shown many examples and adjusting how it works to get the right answer more often. Brilliant. So we could add things like make it even more simple, explain it in more detail, provide relevant analogies and examples relating to the field. I really like this one because analogies always help us conceptualize how things work by using examples that are familiar to us. So give me 5 analogies to explain neural networks within the marketing, advertising and sales space, if this is kind of your field of expertise. A neural network is like a personal shopper that suggests products to customers based on their past browsing and purchase history. A neural network is like a marketer's assistant that can predict which ads will be most effective at reaching a target audience. These are some great examples of how to contextualize that explainer based on the field that you're in. We've got some other example further prompts here. Break it down into 10 main components, explain how it differs from the subject, and so on. What we could do is summarize, choose the best analogy from the above, and expand on it in the context of marketing. As you can see how I'm just having a conversation with ChatGPT and evolving the discussion down a pathway that is going to best serve the outcome I'm looking to achieve. And this is a perfect example of how to add those stepping stones to get closer and closer to the outcome. So yeah, great tool for learning and explaining technical concepts. So moving on to Excel formulas. I've used this a couple times, particularly with Google Sheets. You can specify columns, you can specify different data points within a spreadsheet to help you generate a formula, really. But we'll take an example from our list here. Let's go with create formula-based financial forecasts. have a look at this one. I need to create a financial forecast for the next quarter. Can you help me create an Excel formula-based forecast that takes into account various financial metrics? Prior to giving me the formula, explain step by step the process of setting up the spreadsheet to incorporate this formula. Just giving, the educational guidance as to how this formula can be incorporated, what items you would need in what columns, and how to really structure the spreadsheet in order to, create that forecast. Excellent. If you do want to be more specific, and I don't have a spreadsheet handy, but if you are questioning what formulas to use for a specific task or calculation, just guide that question into ChatGPT with the different columns and the data points that you're looking to create that formula for, and it will spit out the exact code for that formula. See if I can come up with an example on the fly. Write me a formula that calculates the growth rate of our revenue month on month, where column A is our revenue for the first growth rate of our revenue month on month. In row 2, where row 1 is our revenue for each month. Yeah, so obviously verify that works and test and see if there are any issues with the formula. You can be more specific with how that formula is structured and build that into your spreadsheet. All right, lastly, basic coding. We've got some examples here, obviously writing code, debugging code, but yeah, it is possible for ChatGPT to write code for you, and you can use it for all different use cases within software development. Debugging code, I think, is one of the more powerful ones. If you've got a large snippet of code and it's not working, you can dump that into ChatGPT and ask it to find the bug within that code. But let's paste in this one. I think the writing the code example is quite powerful, and you can see it generate that code snippet within ChatGPT. So a pretty basic function that sorts the list of numbers in ascending order, but you can see it pulling out the code that's relevant, and you can copy that directly from ChatGPT, and it's giving you also the steps in which to do that. So I know this was pretty high level, but this is really to give you the prompt ideas to then test and augment based on your personal use case within technical documentation, Excel, and software development. So really hope this was interesting, and feel free to use some of these examples below, and I'll see you in the next lecture. Cheers.